All right. All right. Good evening, everyone. So our plan for tonight is we're looking at code construct with databases in Delphi. So what I'm going to start with is just some basic buttons. So if you know, generally if you work with like a database or something like that, you'll have some buttons going to the first record and maybe one button going to the next record. And well, that one would probably rather that one is normally previous. And then this one is your next button going to the next record. And then this one would be your last button. So these buttons would be there to just jump around. You'll see generally when we play this program, we're there. And now you can go and click, but maybe you want to just work through these records. When you say first, it must go to the first one. If you say last, it must go to the last one. If you say next, it must go to the next one, next one, next one, next one. If you say previous, it must go back, 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 back. So that's sort of just working with our selected record, just adjusting which one is selected. So what we can do, if we go to the first one, so how this works, so some of this stuff will look a little bit new at this stage. These ones that we're doing now will look a little bit new, but it's a little bit of study work, but then the rest, you'll see we're going to use it and then it's very straightforward. So actually going to the first, let me just change the name of this button as well. So this would be button first. So to go to the first record, the only thing you actually do is you say, I'm working with ADO table 1, do you agree? And then you just say dot, and you can say first. So there's an option that says first. So that will take you for that table to the first record. So just see, so if I click, let's say I click here, by Van Zyl. If I click first, it automatically jumps to the first one. So it doesn't matter where you are, if you click first, it would always jump to the first one. So, and that's basically how it works. So previous, you'll just say your ADO. The main thing is you need to know which table we're working with. And in this program at this stage, we're working with table 1. So you're going to say ADO table 1 dot, oh, this was, which button was this? This was the previous. So you'll see there is a function called, oh, not prior. So prior is your previous one. Then let's just change this thing. So this is our button previous. And then we do have a button next. And a button last. So our next button, what do you think? Who wants to take a guess? We're going to say ADO table 1 dot. Any takers? Button 1 dot next. All right. Don't know why somebody didn't want to take a guess there. All right, then let's see the last one. What do you think? Who wants to take a guess? ADO table 1 dot. Yes. Hey, so challenging this, eh? Not easy at all. So let's quickly see how these buttons work. So it's literally if you go first, we're at the first record. If you go last, you're at the last one. If you go previous, I'm clicking next all the time. If you go previous, there's previous, next. You go down and up, first, last, previous, next, first, next. All right, and that's basically how it works. If you wanted these one to update as well as we were busy with that, we might have needed to, rather when we chose our event, remember we clicked on this, we went to event, and then we said we want to go the on click. But you can maybe rather go on, Let's just see. Just want to see if there's an easy way to do this. It doesn't look like there's an easy one to do that. So the best way to have done that, if you wanted to, let's say, because you'll see when we play this, if I click on it, it will have this the information there. But if I go back to first, this stayed where it was. We never updated these ones. And if I go last, these ones don't change with these buttons. So, but the main thing you can do is this code that we've got there. You could just add that same code by each of your other buttons. So by your first, prior, so that every time you move, it just extracts the new data again. Let me quickly show you how this one works. So I just copied and pasted that code everywhere. So if you run it now, so now if I go last, it will have the last one's details there. If you go first, it's the first one's details. And if I go next, you'll see they changed. And if I go previous, they change. So now it's relatively nicely worked out, all these buttons. All right, then one thing I forgot, all of you downloaded this, but then I didn't explain to you how to connect it now. So your main one, this thing would be empty, I think, but you'll have all the components except these first 4 buttons. So what you'll do, you'll go to your audio connection first. So you'll click on that one. Then you'll go to your connection string. So it's up here, the connection string. You'll see there's something there. Click on the ellipse sign. Go to build. And then thereby select your database. Click on that ellipse sign. And then just go into your program. It might be in that right folder already. Then you select tour info. So use a tour info one. Then you just say open and OK and OK. And then once you've done that, just click the connected part. Make it to true. Once that is done, go to your table one. And you'll see right on top there's an active that's false. Just make it true. And make your table 2 also active true. So that's it's like 4 pieces you need to go to. So you go to the connection, go to connection string, and you go in there and just select the database again. Then you make the connected true. You go to your audio table 1, make active true. Go to audio table 2, make active true. And then you should see all the information that's there. All right, so you'll see we've got 2 tables here. Now at this stage, we're working with participants. So please just know that these 4 buttons and our name and surname and return flights, all this has to do with the participants table. We can, if you wanted to, maybe have another button here. And then, but generally it's better to put it in a separate table. But for whatever reason, if you want it in this table to have a button, I'm going to call this button, what was the other table again? So we had participants and we had staff salaries. So let's say we wanted a button to show, not that, to show the staff salaries. So then we can go, let's say here, staff table. But we want to come back again. So let's just put another button here. Participant table. So these 2 buttons we're adding now to just switch between the tables if for some reason you wanted to do that. Obviously, as I said, it's not ideal. Hey, Radia. So it's not ideal because these buttons and stuff we've done here only applies to the participant table. But you could, it depends on what you've got. Maybe you've got one table where you just want to show some stuff, and then as long as you make your buttons generic so it works with all of them, that's fine. And This could be our button for staff. So let me quickly show you. So what we can do, like by the staff table, so who can remember from these components, which one was our link to the DB grid that told the DB grid what to display? Which one of these four did we use to tell the DB grid what to display? Okay. Yes, perfect. Remember when we went to the data source, there was a data set and we said ADO table 1. And that's why we can see ADO table 1. So with the staff table now, do you agree? Our data source, the data set component of it, we just want to make that it is ADO table 2. Because ADO 2 is the staff table. And then for the participant table, we just want to make our data source, the data set of it, we just want to make that again ADO table 1. So that will change it back to participant. Well, that one will make it the staff table. Let's see if it works. Yes, talk to me. So data set refers to like what set of data do you want to display? So then it can either be the ADO table 1 or the ADO table 2. Or you remember we had that other component, ADO query, that I said we'll use later on when we do SQLs. You could also do ADO query in that part. So at that stage, we're going to make our data set the ADO query, and that means it's going to extract the data from that SQL and display it for us. All right, so let's just see how this works. If I go staff table, see now you can see the staff, the tag number. So now it's the other table with all of his information with the salaries to date and the taxes and all that stuff. So that's there. If you click participant table, we're back to participants. The only problem is when you go staff table, as I said, previous and next is still stuck. You'll say, oh, but so it works. Look at the bottom. But look at the bottom. It's still our participant table that's moving there because it's linked with our ADO table 1 that those things work. So if you go back to participant, yes. So all this changing of tables and viewing different tables, this is only for your pet. It's not for exam or test purposes. The only thing we've done so far that you would want to know for your tests is going to a first record. You'll see we'll do that now. How to display some fields you would want to know, and then how to go to the next record. These are the things we're going to use a lot of, but the rest not so much. All right, so now I want to, okay, let's go to the insert one is a bit irritating because you're going to have to type in all the information. So it's not so much fun. Let's just see what's the primary key. Your main thing with your primary key is, remember primary key means it cannot have a duplicate. Oh, there's no primary key identified. All right, never mind. It made it easier. So because there's no primary key identified, it means we can have duplicates. It will just make our life easier. So what we can do, well, we can probably go to the insert then. No, let's start update. All right, let's look at the update. So, let's just change this name. Just change our button names. This is our button update. So yeah, unfortunately I was a little bit in a rush. So I didn't rename the buttons. So just button insert, button update, button delete, button delete. And then let's say button total cost. All right. All right. So these first three, they are very generic. It's if you can do one, you can sort of do any one of them. So there's not a lot that changes there. It's this last one, the show part, that they could ask a variety of different things that will work out. So I just had show total cost to add up all those ones. But obviously we can have one that shows us the highest cost or the lowest cost or the average cost or all the people of this particular flight maybe, or whatever, or how many people are there that's on this flight, anything like that. Okay, but we'll get to that one. So let's go to the insert one. Let's start insert. Why not? All right, so with the insert one, we want to basically add a new record. We want to put a new one in here with all of this information. So do you agree we want to add it to our table 1? So it's our ADO table 1. So also with this program, I was lazy. I left it ADO table 1 and 2. Lazy, but also I like doing it this way, the first one, so that you guys don't get confused. Generally, these two components, like in tests and exams, they'll give these two components the same name as the tables. So then this would have been like participant table. But I don't want you to get confused between the component and the table itself. So remember this database. We've got this database and these tables. They're stored on our hard drive. I opened them now, so they're in RAM now. But generally, we could close this, and then it's out of RAM even. But then what happens here is our connection extracts it from the hard drive and puts it in memory. And then these two create, like, I want to say virtual copies, but not, it's like memory copies of the tables themselves. So our table 1, the participant table here, everything that's there is loaded into this component, ADO table 1 component. So we in our code, we're working with this one, but it just needs to save to the axis. And that's what we'll do. So at this stage, we want to edit this information that's in there. All right. So what we want to do, our ADO table 1 dot, and then because our first step we need to do is we need to put it in, I want to say edit mode, so that we can add new records into the table itself. So what we do is insert. So now the table is in insert mode. So we're basically telling it, listen, we're going to add something now. So now what we need to do is for each of the fields, like these ones, we want to give new values. So I'm going to save myself a little bit of time. I'm going to copy this just. Oops. I'm going to copy this, paste it there, and then I'm just going to change it. So my idea table on flight, you can now use, maybe we must do that. We can use input boxes to ask the user to type in stuff, or edit boxes, any method that you want to give it values. You can even make it fixed. That's what I wanted to do. I was a little bit lazy. I want to like give it a fixed value. But it didn't need to be fixed. So this is the bad way of doing it. So a better way would have been doing input box and then say the insert, and then at this stage we're going to ask for the surname, and then we want to default value, so maybe a, and then that. So this input box we want to then put into our ADO table 1 in the surname field. So this input box, we could then, yes, talk to me. On the insert button. Yeah, just erase it. I'm not sure what I put in there. Oh. And you're gonna download mine. Where did that come from? Oh wait. Oh, I see. It's up here. Okay, so I'm in the insert button now. Are you in the insert or the update? I see one of my other buttons has got it though. I can't remember which button now. I can see it's here. No, yes. This is not supposed to be there. So you can delete that. We'll actually use this in the last button, but it shouldn't be there now. Yeah. So in our insert button, good evening, Mwandle. All right, so how this works, so we put it in insert mode. Then for each of the fields, you must give a new value. So this would be our flight number to EL, and this one would be for our flight number return. All right, so I'm just going to do these ones because I'm very lazy. But obviously you'll have all the other fields that you want to give values to. You'll just mention them here. So you'll go now and you'll do your surname we've done, but then first name, ID, cell phone, paid tour cost. You'll put all of them just in here. The one thing I do want to show is you can make all of them string. So even the, what's this last one? Paid tour cost. The paid tour cost. Even that, you can leave it as a string. You don't need to worry about paid tour. You don't need to worry about data types in this part. However, you do want the people, they must still type in the right values. If they type in an ABC here, it will be a problem. But we can fix that. That is with validation. So I'll show you later how to just validate the inputs. But we don't need to convert them here. That's the key thing. You can leave everything string. And then as we transfer it to Access, it will actually convert them to the correct data type. And then close the database. The close will save it. And then we just need to make it active again. Just open it again. Yes, so if we say our ADO table 1.post, post is basically save. So what the post does, remember I told you that this ADO table, we're working with the RAM version. And as soon as you say post, it actually saves everything to the hard drive. And it actually makes the change for us. So now if we go insert, and I go A, and then our cost 1, 2, 3. And now it's at the bottom, and you'll see it there. Yeah, perfect. Yes, thank you very much for that. I forgot that. So so the refresh, I close and open, and that basically refreshes. So sometimes you'll see with your pet, you just play around with it a bit. Some people use refresh and then it just works, and then sometimes it just doesn't work. Generally, I saw if you close and open, this is most common. It refreshes and it works most of the time. Sometimes the refresh seems to not want to work. So I generally closed and just opened it again to just get the right version. This is the best refresh that sort of always works for me. So yeah. All right, then by doing this, if you sort of understand this idea behind it, then our update and delete is straightforward. We need to just put it in the format, well, not delete necessarily, but the update's the same. We're going to put it like for insert, you have to put it in insert mode, add all the stuff you want to add, and then post it. It's like a save. So when we go to our update, now the update can differ. It depends. Do we want to update all of the fields, or do we just want to update the one that is selected? So I think for this update, let's make it that the selected record paid 500 Rand. Yeah. So it means the one that's selected, we want to add 500 to the tour cost. The one that's selected. So easy way to do this. Again, same format. So you say the table we're working with. Now you have to put it in update mode. So it's just called edit mode. So you put it in edit mode. Now you make the changes what you want to make. So I want to, in my ADO table 1, the paid tour cost field, the paid tour cost field must become whatever it was. So I want to keep that value, and I want to add 500 because he paid 500 more. I don't know if this looks a little bit familiar to our arrays. Remember when you wanted to add, so that your variable gets the value of whatever the variable was plus the 500. And now we made the change, so now we need to save it. And what do we use for save again? What did Pavan just tell us? Post. Yes. So we just say post. So you put it in edit mode, make the change you want to make, and then just post it. You can then, okay, let's do without the refresh. Let's see what happens. It might still work. Sometimes it just works, sometimes not. So let's see. So let's go to, I'm going to click on Slater. You'll see it's 500. Easy. Yeah, here's the 500. So you click update, and there you see, now it's 1000. And if we go to Nicholas, which is 700, if I update, then it becomes 12. If you go to the last one, and I click update, it adds 500. So, yeah. So you just, all right, then personally, I would always add the close and open, but you saw now I didn't do it and it still worked fine. So you'll see if you either insert or update or delete, and when you do it, the stuff is still there, then just add a close and open, and then you'll see it will just fix that for you if it needs a little bit of a refresh. So yeah, the delete, yes. Okay, then the delete. With the delete, we're gonna remove the selected one. So we're gonna remove the selected record. What I suggest you do, especially with your pet, once you've created your database and you're sort of happy with it, create a duplicate of it. So the easiest way is go to where you saved it. Look at the one that's the bigger one. You'll see if it's open, there's always 2, but this one you'll see is only 1 kilobyte. So that's just because it's opened. Go to the one that's a little bit bigger. Right click, drag it to that same folder, and then you say copy here. Then you'll see it will make a tour info copy. It adds the copy version. Just because you're going to start removing some of your stuff now. And sometimes you would have taken so much effort and time, typing in this information. And now you test it and you just start deleting all the stuff. Then you sort of get demoralized with everything that you lost. So, but without delete, it's actually a bit easier. So you can just say your ADO table 1 and then dot, and there's don't go destroy, just say delete. And that will then delete that record. I think you can have post, but if I remember correctly, post is not required. I'm going to quickly just go to the one I just added. So I'm going to go to my AAA one, and then I just say delete, and then it's just gone. So you'll see your delete is the one that it doesn't need a post or anything. It will just, it's got like a built-in post, I want to sort of say. and that's your delete. So it deletes literally, if you add the record, remove the selected record. If you add the record you want to remove, you just have a edit table one.delete and it would remove that particular one for you. So everything I'm doing now, I hope it looks easy because it's supposed to be easy, but all this is actually marks for exams and tests. They will ask you to insert a field, a record. So you must be able to know to edit table one.insert, change all the fields, and then post. I want to say with this, the data types, remember I told you it can stay string. So if your teacher says, no, you must change the data types, just ask him, just check, and then you'll see this works fine. And this I found is much better because once you start converting, it's just easy to not make it the right data type and then suddenly it doesn't work. And why convert it if it doesn't need to be converted? Leave it string. Grade 12, they accept it as its strings. You don't need to convert it. There's no marks for converting because we know it works with input boxes only. And then the post, when we edit, you just go to edit mode, change what you want to change, post it, and when you delete, you just delete that specific record. So as some of you might have realized, like Pavan also sort of referred to a bit, is so you don't need to look for the one. So that would be our next questions that we'll look at a little bit later on. I might actually give you one or two to do for homework for me or to think about, where you would ask the person maybe with an update or delete, and you maybe with an update say, where they can say, change all the ones where if the flight number is SA532, add 500 to the pay tour cost. So then we sort of need to do a search. And that search is very similar to what we've done with our arrays. And I'm going to show you with this one now. I show total cost. Imagine this was in an array. How would you calculate the total cost for that? So let's say I had a variable and I've got, let's say I've got an array cost that is of type, that is an array, let's say 10 of type integer. All right, let's say we've got that array and I asked you, work out the total cost for me that's inside there. What would you have done to work it out for me? Let's say we've got a total variable as well. I want the total of that array inside there. What would you have done? Let's go from 1 to 10. So you'd have made total 0, yeah. And how do you do that? Yes, okay, so tell me, so we would have gone for loop, yeah. Yeah, I is from 1 to 10. Let's say there's 10 elements in there. And then what would you have done here? Position I. And that. All right, perfect. So everybody got this idea, hopefully. Hopefully you can remember this. If we've got an array of integers, we would have made total 0, loop through it, set total is equal to total plus array cost, and that would have been the total. Then we could have displayed it or whatever we wanted to do with it. Now, we're going to follow similar principles with this one. So let's quickly look. So I'm going to take that out just. Alright, obviously we don't have this now, but keep it in mind. So what we still need here, alright, my first step, it is costs though. So what data type are we working with for our total? What data type should it be? Real. Yes, real or double. Yeah, I agree. So let's go real. It's the first one we heard. And we still initialize to 0. And then do you agree? Now we need a loop to go through. The only trick here is, do you know how many elements are there in this thing? And the answer is no. Do you agree? Because we can add and we can delete. So even if there's maybe 10 now, tomorrow there might be 20. So we don't know. So can we use, what type of loop should we use then if we're not sure how many elements there are? Yes. Unconditional loop. So we can go repeat until. And do you agree? We want to repeat until we at the end of our file, our ADO table 1, do you agree we want to go through ADO table 1 at his end of file? So we want to repeat until we end of this table. So it's sort of like our text file, but a little bit different. You'll see, you know, our text file was EOF and then the text file, but now it's this table dot end of file. But it works the same way. Now the trick with this one, when we use the repeat until, what did we do first? Do you agree we initialized our counter as well? We needed to say where we want to start, like our counter for our for loop, our Q. We made Q 0 something. So how do I go to the first record in my ADO table? Or do you agree I can just go ADO table 1 dot first? Remember? Yes. So this would just take me to the first record in the table. And now I loop through the table, going until the end of the table. Now we do the same we had. So our total must become whatever our total was, plus, and then instead of having the array, we'll have our ADO table 1 and the field we want to add, which is our, what's it? Paid tour cost, I think. Paid tour cost. So this will now say, so the total started at 0, my table started at the first record. I say loop until the end, and the total should become whatever the total was, plus the value inside this table in this field. But that will get it for the first record. So after I added the first record, how can I go to the next record? Yes. So ADO table 1 dot next would take me to the next record. So total is at 0, starting at the first record. I repeat until I'm at the end of the table. And my total should become whatever the total was plus my tour cost. And every time I want to go to a next record. And that's as easy as that. And then we can just display the answer. Let's say we do it in a message box. No, not message box. What is the better one? Dialog. No. Show message, yes. Yeah, so I get confused with that thing. Okay, so we just show message and then we can give it maybe a nice message. Something like the total is, and then we just add our total. But to add total, we need to go to string it. Right, let's see if we play this now. And then what you can do is just look at that arrow as well when I click this. Not con oh, convert the tab null into tab double break. Um, Let me just see what it will do here. Flip the string. Alright, so the problem is those tour cost that's empty is a problem. Because now what we're saying is whatever you get added to this, but if it's a nothingness, we can't add it to it. So let's just wing that thing. Say again? Yes. Perfect. So I'll maybe I'll that one at that field I'll pay to a cost. If that field inside that table is equal to nothing, then we just want to actually do nothing. Then let's go begin end, and then but if it's not nothing, we can say else we can do this. So only if there's something in, then we add this. Let's see if that works. Couldn't convert that Unicode into currency. Alright, so yeah, if we cheated and just put zeros in all those fields, you go show total cost, you'll see this arrow went very quickly right down to the bottom, added up all of those values and gave you a total cost. And that's how show total cost will work. I'll go see just nicely how we can check for emptiness, and then I'll let you know next time. But yeah, that's it for today. So we've done our insert, update, delete, show total cost, and then first, previous, next, and last. So next time we're going to look at how do we search for something inside to delete a specific one or to update specific fields in there, and then maybe look at how can we get an average and all that running. I think I will upload a homework assignment for you guys. If you could see if you can do those buttons for me for next time. You can use this one as a guide and then do something similar for me with the homework.